Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce. I am joined by the full barn of the boys tonight. I am here with Tyler Edmonds himself, the Juice Man, Cheese Man, Mr. Joey Ricotta, and Mr. Nick Hudson. Gentlemen, it is so good to be back on a microphone with all of you. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Boys, how are we doing? Joey, I want to hear from you first because you look like you were cold earlier. How are you doing, buddy?
So you can hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Good. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. I'm excited we get to talk Cubs baseball here in mid-November. Feels like winter in my room, this weird coldest room in the house room. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm glad to be here. How are you guys doing?
Doing sensational, buddy. Juice, what's up, buddy? Long time no see. I feel like I saw you just a little bit ago.
What do you think of Yuki Matsui? Sorry, guys. I've been sitting on like fan graphs the whole time we were in pre-show. Just going, what do you think of this guy? Just playing around with the idea of like who the Cubs could sign. We went through all the payroll. We had a lot of fun, and I've just been that guy who's nerding out with his glasses on, going, what about this guy? While these guys all talk more important stuff, I'm in my own little world right now. So I apologize if out of nowhere it looks like I'm just staring into abyss.
Juice is in full blown like nerd juice mode, and I'm actually here for it tonight. So we will support this this little rabbit hole that Juice has created for himself. Tyler, how are you doing, my friend?
Man, it's like we talked about before the show. Like you've got us jacked for this off season, for the Cubs convention, for the season. Man, when I heard the down, man, I was because the boys are back. The boys are back. Yeah. Man, it's good to see you guys. It's good to see all of you. Good to finally talk to you, all five of us again, man. I'm great.
It's overdue. It's been long overdue. Nick, you and I went down our own rabbit hole for like the first 10 minutes in pre-show as we waited for the others to join us. How are you doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm doing very well, excited to be back on the mic, and it's okay to be excited, boys. It's okay to get your hopes up. It's going to be a fun off season. I'm looking forward to talking about it.
That it is, gentlemen. I am excited just to have the full barn at hand here because this is the first time in quite some time that we've all been on the same microphone together, and there's a lot of news that have happened since I've talked to a handful of you. Juice, you and I have talked the most so far on this microphone this offseason. Tyler, you got to join us for the big news. But Joey and Nick, boys, we have not talked to either one of you, at least on a microphone, that is, about the Craig Counsell hiring. And I want to hear from each of you. Nick, I'm going to let you start first, my guy. Thoughts
on the
Craig Counsell signing?
You know, I'm still in utter shock. Obviously there's been some time to process everything, but when I put myself back into the original moment, just complete shock. Obviously it's a huge move, and I think that it's just foreshadowing what's to come in this offseason, and I'm excited. But something that I thought about when this initially happened was one of the pressers with Jed. It had seemed that last little collapse almost really got to him, and it was a shock, but it was also like, if you had that moment and you could make that move, you got to do it. So I'm just glad that they did.
100%. Joey, quick synopsis, your thoughts in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Nick said, dude. I was so shocked when it happened, but at the same time, I mean, looking back on it now, like those were the original thoughts. But looking back on it now, and by the way, I'm not supposed to be saying this, but I was working and I was like trying to work and saw the news and I'm like, oh, they're going live. They're going to talk about this. So I was tuned in to your guys' like live show and I was driving and I had my phone on the dashboard and just like watching it like, all right, let me pull into McDonald's, get an iced coffee real quick and watch these boys for like 15 minutes. Cause I'm like, dude, I need to like listen to this content about the Craig Counsell news. It's like a room shaker when that happens. Like you just drop what you're doing, like what's happening in the world. Nothing matters. The Cubs just got Craig Counsell out of fucking nowhere. So Yeah, I mean, I was shocked, but looking back on it now, we had this conversation. I think it was either me and Nick or it was me and Tyler. I don't remember which show it was. It might have been two different shows, but we had a post game like recap show, and we were talking about like, is this the guy that are the Cubs going to move on from Ross because of the fact that do you trust him in those situations when you get to the later portion of the season, not just because of the collapse itself, but some of the decisions that he had made down the stretch? And I know everyone's saying the right things. It wasn't a David Ross move. It wasn't a Ross being bad move. It was a Craig Counsell being their move. And that's why you go and get Craig Counsell, because he's that good and he can elevate your ball club and he can manage your team and make the right decisions and knows how to run a clubhouse, especially with a lower payroll. And now you add in the top payroll and all that. So everyone said all those things, not to kind of regurgitate that stuff or anything. But like, I also think that some of this was a David Ross, then Craig Counsell being there, because like you look at some of the moves that he had made, they weren't going to just axe him for nobody, but he had made some really questionable calls all throughout the season. And it goes to show you some of those losses that they had, those 1-2 run losses, like that stuff adds up. It added up all over across the season. It wasn't just September.
Right.
And I do believe that at some point you need to go with somebody who, of course, he seems like a leader. He seems like somebody who gets the game genuinely. And, you know, Ross being a legend, of course, in this city or with the Cubs because of what he did here with the club, you know, the 2016 team, all that. He hadn't spent as much time as Craig Counsell spent in Milwaukee. So him leaving there to come here, that tells me all I need to know about, like, it means he really wants to be here. So I'm ready to go, man. I'm excited.
I love that. That a lot of good points that I don't think any of us really thought of, right? Is the connections to the franchises. Counsell. I keep getting reminded because Counsell feels like he played with everybody, but 6 seasons spent as a player in Milwaukee and then 9 as a manager trumps what David Ross had in Chicago. But nonetheless, incredible points, gentlemen. Again, we wanted to give you guys your opportunity to share your thoughts. We got to have a good time reacting to it as well because agreed with you guys. The world was in shock, at least that being the Cubs world, with the move that was made at hand. Going to bring a comment back up here really quick just to point out to everybody. If you want to be a part of the conversation and join us in the comments section, be sure to head over to the Facebook or YouTube's. We're getting crap that it took us long enough to get going and get his, Mr. Dad here getting his on tap fix. But plenty of things. His Christmas or Craigslist, according to Jeremiah, Shohei, Belly, Snell, Nola. It's a lot, but he can dream. We're going to get into all of that and plenty more coming up. But again, if you want to be a part of this conversation, us to see your comments, go over to the YouTube channel on Tap Sportsnet. Subscribe, like, hit the bell button, join us over there. Otherwise, we appreciate you if you're watching on X, and we love you just as much. We just can't see your commentary. So if you want to join the conversation, be sure to head over there, like all of our friends here in the comments. Gentlemen.
Hey, Ron. One more thing. I got to ask you guys a question. Did you guys see the marquee, like the booth interview with Craig Counsell? And like, I had no idea that he was a rec league commissioner at one point. And Pat Hughes was like draining threes. Like, what? Pat Hughes can do no wrong, man. He can do anything.
Apparently, Pat Hughes is the largest competitor in human history, according to Craig Counsell. So a fun little kind of loop of this guy knows this guy in the old MLB. Incredible point, Joey. And we got to get into some more of that excitement because I feel like, Joey, you bringing up that, right? We're all excited about Craig Counsell. Craig Counsell is just the beginning. So for those that are joining us or are going to join us late here's what we're going to talk about. We're thankful. The guys are taking Thanksgiving week off. So we're going to share what we're thankful for about the current Cubs team. Then we're going to transition to things that we want to be thankful for. We'll explain that a little more when we get to that point. And then, gentlemen, we said 3 players, doesn't matter what way you get them, whatever roster move is required. Who are your 3? We're going to go around and do that. We're going to go in reverse order. Gentlemen, make notes. 3 comes before 1 in this case. Good. We're going to go through our top 3, finish off with everybody's top favorite, and see what everybody thinks as well in the comment section. And we appreciate everybody joining us. Scott from Iowa, Hank Rodriguez, Jeremiah, Mr. Luce, my dad, everybody else that is watching along. Gentlemen, let's start talking about it. Things we are thankful for. There's a lot to be thankful for in the world of Cubs baseball. They won 83 games last year. Yes, they had a really rough collapse, but new manager, optimism heading into the offseason. There's a lot to be thankful for with this team. Boys, I want to go around the horn here and get what you are currently thankful for with the Cubs, things that have already happened that are present in the moment. Juice, I'm going to start with you, buddy. What are you most thankful for right now in Cubs baseball?
Thankful for defense and the stolen bases. I think if you're going to look at this Cubs team and what they were last year and try to figure out what they can be, that's where they hung their hat. You know, they were able to run. They were able to play good defense, and run prevention is a big thing in the league now, considering that the rules have changed. A lot of stolen base advantages with the bigger bases and things like that. But, yeah, no, I sit in today. I'm thankful for defense and stolen bases because, to me, that's what the Cubs were built on. That's their identity. You know, we talked on Bears on Tap just a few hours ago there, Ron. We talked about a team that needs an identity. At least we know with the Cubs have these things on their roster, and that's their identity. They try to pitch. They have some young pitchers that are making their way through. You know, your Justin Steele. You know, obviously J-Mo didn't have the year that we thought he did. Kyle Hendricks is always going to pitch to contact. And that's why, you know, when you look at this team, you know, with the defense that they have up the middle, I'm thankful for defense and stolen bases. You can always do those things, right? You get on base, you can always run. If you go to the ballpark, you can always play good defense. And the Cubs were one of the better teams, I think, last year in terms of, you know, defensive rating and efficiency and runs saved. We talked about it, Ron. I think that some of these guys who are known for their defense, your Nico Horners, your Dansby Swansons, Cody Bellingers, if you got them sitting at a bar with the truth serum, they would say, I could have had a better year defensively. And you're talking about a team with 3 gold gloves on it. And I think Ian Happ would be in that conversation as well. So,
Sure.
Yeah, in the moment, thankful for defense and stolen bases.
Love that. Love that.
Real hot take. Ian Happ shouldn't have won the Gold Glove.
I somewhat agree.
That's fair.
People were asking me. I think somebody had asked me who should have replaced him. Not sure. Maybe it's not like I don't have the real answer for that, but like
that was just the most awful selection of left fielder Gold Glovers in a while.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what was part of it. And Happ had an okay year throwing guys out from the field, but I agree. I think he had a rougher year defensively. I think he still made the big, like, exciting plays. It just
flat. Yeah. It was
some more errors, maybe. That's a good point.
The routes he took, man, like, I don't know. I was looking at some of the like advanced numbers too on him. The advanced numbers don't even really love him. It was the outfield assists that totally carried it.
Do you think because I think personally he looked a little bigger in 2023. You saw the slugging come back a little heavier. Do you think he's a little slower out there in left field than he was a year prior?
No, maybe a little slower, but like I don't think it's really a speed thing. I think it was a just judgment thing, just by watching him. Like watching flight path in the air and just the way that routes he was taking. Just
didn't hit. Interesting. Fair enough. Joey, I'm gonna twist your thought process here really quick, because I would like to hear from you now as we continue moving around the horn here. Great side conversation, by the way, though. Wanted incredible thoughts, truthfully. Who or what is it that makes you thankful for the Chicago Cubs?
You boys doing this show.
Nice.
No, seriously, that is definitely
very acceptable answer.
If we're to put this like rotation, this 5-man rotation onto a team, like starting pitching, like we're talking what Tyler says all the time, balls of steel. We're talking K signs in the bleachers. Like this rotation here at Cubs on Tap, we got it. I'm very thankful for it. I also will throw in like a Cubs answer. I'm thankful for Jed Hoyer. I'm thankful for this is going to be another hot take. I'm just going to keep spewing it tonight. I'm thankful for Tom Ricketts. You can talk shit all you want about this ownership group. You can talk shit and say, oh, he's not spending the money that this is coming from a season ticket holder. Now, you know what? Take this blanket off. Turn the heat up, Jed. It was cold in here. It's not cold anymore. Get me fired up. Jed Hoyer is doing what it takes, I think, to build this team back up. He had a vision for what it looked like. It took a while to get here, but I think if we look back on what we've said consistently on this show, it wasn't going to be some long, drawn-out rebuild. And it's not. I said 2024, sped up rebuild. That's kind of what the expectation was. I think we all pretty much said that.
Yeah.
I'm thankful when he sees something that's on the table, he's willing to go out there and get it. He's going to make smart businessman decisions. The infrastructure, sure, you can say like Tom Ricketts or the Ricketts family, cheap bastard, whatever. Yeah, they make a ton of money. They take way too much of our money. Crack them, thank you. Actually, that looks good as fuck. What is that?
What?
What?
Stone Cold Steve Austin, Broken Skull Lager. What?
That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. I'm also thankful.
No free ads, by the way.
Yeah, they should sponsor though.
What?
What? Step further, the infrastructure, man. I'm thankful for Craig Breslow too, like what he did here before. A guy like that leaving, right? Okay. Vice president of pitching, right? Or assistant general manager as well. But
yeah,
vice president of pitching, basically. The fact that he can go to a club, another club really loves him, right? Enough to take him in as their chief officer. They're going to take him in now, the Red Sox. Love how we got this Red Sox Cubs thing back and forth, by the way. Theo to the Cubs. Now you got Breslow going back. There's a lot there. Like, I think that shows you what this team has built infrastructurally. If that's even the way to put that. Like, they have pieces lined up, and other franchises, other organizations are looking at the Cubs as like they're doing things the right way. The Mets wanted Dan Kantrovitz. The Mets wanted him as a role. VP of scouting, Dan Kantrovitz. If they wanted to steal him away, he decided to stay here. Maybe he's getting a little bit of a promotion here too with Breslow stepping out. Who knows? Sure. But I know this is a really long answer to this, but I'm thankful for the entire Cubs. Like, look at the dog shit teams in this city. The dog shit ownership groups. You got Jerry Reinsdorf owning 2 teams in the city. Absolute dog shit. The McCaskies, absolute dog shit. Blackhawks starting to kind of turn around. They got one really good player. Okay, we'll see where that goes. They've had a long, scandalous list of bullshit happen their way.
Don't okay me with the Connor Bedard. Have you watched Connor Bedard yet, Joey?
He's awesome. Yeah.
He's phenomenal. Shout out to
I'm not saying he's okay. I'm saying that organization is okay. They're heading in the right direction. But
sure. But the
comparatively, we're up here, man. The Cubs are up here. Whole city, up here. You can't see my hand. Up there. Rest of them, way down here. It's fucking cold in the basement. Anyways.
It's cold. It's so cold. So cold in the basement, according to Papa Loose, we got to buy Joey a heater. That's how cold it is in the streets. But I like where you're at. I like where you're at, Joey.
Ron, I hate to butt in real quick. Off topic, back to Joey's left field argument about the Gold Glove. 2 names, Christian Yelich, Eddie Rosario were the others that were considered. And Ian Happ, outs above average, a -7. Christian Yelich was a 4.
Wasn't David Peralta also there too?
David Peralta. Let's look.
I thought David Peralta was too. I have no idea why
he
was either.
Yeah.
While you're on that, topic,
he was also a -3.
While you're on that topic, how the blue ball hell did the Milwaukee Brewers win the all-team Gold Glove award, and they did not have one player?
Craig Counsell.
Have one player.
Craig Counsell. Craig Counsell.
Okay.
Craig Counsell.
Lourdes Gurriel was in that discussion too, I think. Should have been.
Yeah, he had a weird year too. Gentlemen, I'm going to reel us back in because we got to get around the horn before we can get this thing. I support it. No. This is what makes the full barn episode fun, ladies and gentlemen. For those that are tuning in, you're like, this is a chaotic mess. That's kind of half the point. That's why these shows are fun.
Last thought on it. Hate to say it. Christian Yelich probably should have won the.
Ew, stop it.
Just saying.
Probably.
You might be right.
Probably.
But stop it. In fairness, quickly to the comment section here, Jeremiah said he thinks that Ian Happ shouldn't have won it either. And Scott says,
I'm happy you did. We're all happy.
Happ his Gold Glove 2 putouts at home. So yeah, maybe a little recency bias always helps at the end of the season. Guys make a couple big plays. The voters think about them. You never know. It certainly changes things. Joey, I like what you said there. Just a quick thought to add to what you said. Juice and I talked extensively about the amenities that are owned around Wrigley Field that the Ricketts now own. Reason to be thankful for the Ricketts, they invested in Wrigley. They took a loss. Yes, it hurt the team on the field at the time, but in the long run, it is starting to pay dividends, and that's going to put them in a different category as well as others. I'm going to encourage everybody to go listen to Juice and I's conversation about that. Joey, Tyler, Nick, maybe we can get on with you guys and just have a round table, and we'll cut pieces up and share it with the public, and we'll put that out there for people to listen to too. But just keep that in mind because there's a lot to think about there. I love what you said, Joey, and I'm in support of it. Nick, it's your turn. What are you thankful for in Chicago Cubs baseball?
I'm 100% on Joey's wavelength, man. I sat down and I said, I'm thankful for the front office. I've been the first one to be critical about the front office, the ownership, all of that. I've been very critical in the past, but looking at now where we're at, 100%, we're up here, and there's nightmares that you hear for some fans and what they deal with their teams, and it's it's refreshing. Yeah, in our own city, the White Sox. It's refreshing to have a team that cares about winning, and it's refreshing to have a front office that adapts and tries to build the next dynasty, because it's ultimately what you're doing. You're trying to win World Series. That's really the goal there. So, and you're trying to be good for a long period of time. And I really think that Jed, like Joey said, is really just turned out to be the perfect person to do that, to be critical and be smart and make the right moves, not make too flashy of decisions, but everything's working out. Like you said, the rebuild hasn't felt that long or tenuous or anything like that. So I had to kind of eat my words a little bit. The front office, the ownership, I'm very thankful for it. And I'm thankful to be a Chicago Cubs fan.
I love that. That is a beautiful excuse. Super sidetrack before Tyler, we get to you. This beautiful argument occurring in the comments between some of our favorite followers and listeners. Jeremiah, in my opinion, PCA should have won the center field Gold Glove this year. Scott says, Jeremiah, no one cares about minor league awards. Jeremiah goes, no, I was talking about the majors. Beautiful argument that we had to highlight. I was enjoying watching it while listening to Nick's answer because, Nick, I agree with you. I think that's a great answer. I am in support of the whole theory. Juice and I went off on a huge rant about it, and we're going to talk about it as a greater group at some point here this offseason on camera. Mr. Tyler, I want to hear from you. What are you thankful for in Chicago Cubs baseball?
Kind of similar to what you said. I'm thankful for the new rules as far as the pitch clock, the larger bases. I think that has helped further the development of guys like, look at Nico Horner. Guy got 40-plus stolen bases this year. Thank you. Cody Bellinger. What was it, like 20 stolen bases this year? Thank you. And a guy like Justin Balls of Steel, I think maybe these new rule changes has helped him. I mean, he was already a good pitcher, but I think this helped develop him into a guy who recently got a finest card on MLB The Show. So about you on that. And I'm also thankful, similar to what Joey said, I'm thankful for a front office, a ownership group that has helped put excitement back into this team for the offseason. Because if you forgot, 2 years ago, I believe it was it 2 years ago, we were sitting here screaming, bitching at our screens about the whole Tom Ricketts and he's wanting to buy a football team or a soccer club right now. You know, what is he doing? Blah, blah, blah. You know, like we were yelling about that. Come like this team's going to the freaking trash can and all this kind of stuff. So I'm thankful for a ownership group, Jed Hoyer, everybody that has helped put excitement back into this team.
I love that. I respect that wholeheartedly. Again, I support the whole front office ownership thing because I think hindsight is truly everything. It is 2020, as we all know. And looking back on some of those takes now, it's like, shit, we should have tried to see the future vision, but we were just too frustrated and fed up as a fan base to put up with it and deal with it again. And I think that's a lot of what clouded everybody's judgment. Gentlemen, I'm going to kind of follow Juice's lead here, but it's going to be a little more specific than Juice because I think there was a lot to be thankful about this year. Again, I show my support for the ideas about the front office and the ownership group, for the intangibles and intangibles on the field as well, of what this team's identity was during the 2023 season. I said it multiple times on the airwaves here with you guys over the course of the season. 2023 was probably one of my most favorite teams in my recent memory. I don't care that they won 83 games and didn't make the playoffs. Being invested with you guys, being invested just, I think, more so as a fan than ever, learning and loving the players that are on this team, appreciating the identity they're trying to bring to Chicago, because it kind of fits the Chicago way, I think, in a lot of aspects. But I'm going to really boil it down, and it involves two particular people. I'm thankful for the Cubs middle infield. Thankful for the Gold Glovers, Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner. Thankful for the most handsome sons of bitches to roam the middle infield in all of Major League Baseball. As Jeremiah says here, he's thankful for Dansby's hair products. Nico's too. He's got that slick little comb over as well, putting him up there in that best. They just did, the world's best, or the most handsome man in the world, or the handsome man in America contests going on. Dansby and Nico were severely left out as best looking tandem in any sport, in any two positions that work together the way the shortstop and second baseman do. It's kind of a yin to yang. Nico's high average and lesser power, and Dansby's the big swing and miss, and he's a streaky hitter, but they're both elite defenders, and they embody what makes Chicago sports. I am super, super thankful for the Cubs middle infield and what they bring to the city of Chicago. They are truly worth the price of admission for any ticket at Wrigley Field, in my humble opinion. And that is who I am super thankful for over the course of this thing. Josh Williams saying here, thankful for the extensions finally of Happ and Horner. Offseason could look a lot different this year without those guys. Certainly 100% agree with that. Scott a little bit earlier, he's got a top three. Assad's performances during the course of the season, Wicks showing he is a Major League Baseball starter, and Adbert Alzolay locking it down with the old fist bump as the closer for this team, among others. Again, thank you to everybody joining us in the comment section. We appreciate you guys. You make this show, you add to the fun that we have here at Cubs on Tap. Gentlemen, we're going to pivot a little bit because we're already talking about things that happened that we're thankful for. What is something you want to be sitting here at next year's Thanksgiving and being thankful for? What's something you really want to happen here in the near future? Maybe it's an entity that you are thankful for. Maybe it is a certain player or something that could happen this offseason that you're thankful for. I'm going to start it off this time, gentlemen. I'm going to switch it up a little bit here. I was chomping at the bit to say what I wanted to say. I'm going to jump in front of everybody, and maybe you guys you'll laugh at what I have to say here. I'm thankful for an entity, gentlemen. It's a singular thing. In fact, it's an inanimate object. Just like this cocktail whiskey glass here is an inanimate object, I am thankful for an inanimate object. That inanimate object is Tom Ricketts' pocketbook, ladies and gentlemen, because I think for finally the first time since Tom Ricketts has owned the team, other than the Jason Hayward contract, they shell out real money for a franchise-altering player. I am hooked on the idea of this team getting a top-level player that probably makes more than $30 to $35 million a year and is going to be a face of the game in some aspect or another. I'm thankful for that pocketbook because, Tom, you know damn well we're a bunch of suckers. We're all going to be so excited about that player being added to what's already here that we're going to be at Wrigley in droves and investing in all your properties that Joey and Nick and Tyler are thankful for as an ownership group, investing in Wrigley Field and investing in your franchise. Tom Ricketts' pocketbook, that beautiful little, probably it's a dark brown leather. It's got a little wear and tear to it to give it some vintage, but it's just sitting there on his office desk next to his computer, collecting dust more often than not, at least in recent years. But now he's going to blow off the dust. He's going to be writing a lot of checks this offseason. Big numbers, a lot of zeros, preferably numbers that are higher than twos to lead it off with, 7, 8 figures. Tom Ricketts' pocketbook is what I am thankful for, gentlemen. We're going to go in a little bit of reverse order. Tyler, I want to hear from you in the moment. What do you want to be thankful for this
Ron,
offseason or next season?
I mean, I've got to follow your lead, man. I want to be thankful. I want to be, like you said, I want to be thankful for a owner that had the balls to just throw them out on the table,
Of
throw
steel.
that big, giant bag of cash on the table to get whoever he wants. As far as you're saying, as far as the guy you're talking about, to get a face. I'm talking a face of this franchise for 10 years. I want to be sitting here thankful for that guy, there for an owner that has just said, screw it. Let's get, and we'll talk. I don't want to say names right now because of later, but like you said, Ron, I want to be thankful for a owner that just put it all out on the table and said, here's your guy. Here's the guy that's going to be the face of this place, the face that runs the place. Give me that. Give me that. I think you're muted.
I pulled the biggest folly of the episode. I didn't think I was going to do it either. And then, son of a bitch, I did it. I said, I love that, Tyler. I do. I love that. And we're going to keep this thing moving. Oh, of course, Ron Loose to the doofus. To make up for my doofism, be sure to check us out. Join us in the comments section here, YouTube, Facebook. Join the conversation here as others have on the topic of opening up the pocketbook. Jeremiah says 3.7 billion is more than enough to pay Shohei. In order to pay somebody, I want to pay Juice in this moment. A penny for your thoughts, my friend. What is something you want to be thankful for in Chicago Cubs baseball?
So my thankful was the stolen bases and defense, correct? Well, my wants and needs and want to be thankful for is bullpen strikeouts and home runs. I don't know if you guys sense a theme a little bit here. I'm trying to acquire the things that the Cubs don't have and get this on the roster because it's things I want to be thankful for going into next year. I want to be able to say that not only are they very good defensively and can steal bases, but they can also hit the ball out of the yard. And Ron, this is something we touched on in the previous episode, talking about the fact of they just didn't hit enough home runs. Realistically, to be a team that wins the World Series, they got to find a way to be where the Texas Rangers were last year. They drove the ball out of the ballpark. And that's something I think that we need to explore. I think that's something that going into this offseason, that's a want and need. Obviously, we're going to go over the players that we think and we want to be on this Cubs team, but that's what I want to be thankful for going into next year. Home runs and strikeouts out of the bullpen.
Chicks dig the long ball. I totally agree. Juice. Nick, what is something you want to be thankful for in Chicago Cubs baseball?
Yeah, exactly what you said. Power. I want to be thankful for power in Chicago Cubs baseball. I think it's not greedy to want to get more power. Obviously, we need more power. And like you said, it's great to have a good defense, slap the ball around the yard, string some hits together, but you need home runs. You need power. So hopefully this offseason we can bring in some guys to get that power level up. We're going to talk about that, but that's what I want to be thankful for. I want to be a top 10 in power and just, have that to our name.
Oh, hell yeah. Ball go far, team go far, as our friends over at Sox on Tap say. That's the one thing. There's very few things in this world that Cubs on Tap and Sox on Tap agree about, but that is certainly one of them. Ball go far, team go far. It's a good euphemism from our friend NWI.
Hey, just ask the Rangers.
Facts. Yeah. Hey, you won the World Series because you could slug the ball the best. Absolutely agree with you. Joey, it's your turn. What is something you want to be thankful for in Chicago Cubs baseball?
Well, definitely opening up the pocketbook. And I like how you have his wallet color checkbook pocketbook down.
It's a dark maroonish brown. It's well noted already. Let's be honest.
So that's definitely one of them. I want to see some big splashes, but also I want to be thankful for other people's money as well. Like, okay, let's look at this. So yes, it's the Cubs paying these players, right? Have you guys ever seen The Town?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
It's one of the best movies of all time, right? So Tom Ricketts could like just back up the Brinks truck, right? He could just back up his own Brinks truck and just dump all the loads of money out to everybody. Or you can go out there and be like the bank robbers from The Town and go take other teams' money. Go trade for Juan Soto. Go trade for Pete Alonso. Go make some fucking splash moves. Take other teams' money. Then you could back up the Brinks truck. That's how I want to be thankful for that. I also want to be thankful for Craig Counsell because let's be honest, guys, he hasn't done a damn thing yet. We're all very hopeful for this. I think gut feeling and thoughts think that this is going to be a great move for the Cubs. I want to be thankful for it. Counsell, and let's go take some other team's money.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I'm fired up now, Joey. You got me fired up here. Gentlemen,
Told you,
now that
man,
we-
we're taking the blanket off. The heat, we're bringing the Jets turning the heat up in this room right now.
I hope so. I want Jed to turn the heat up too because I'm a little cold here in my usual tank top attire. Hank says, I will be thankful if the Cubs finally become a big boy team and sign somebody for over 184 mil. It's way overdue. I think this is the season. I really do. I think it is. And I think you're going to get an indication as why myself and probably all of us think that in some sort of way. In our top 3 players we want the Cubs to acquire, gentlemen, we're going to shift gears to our final scheduled segment. And I say scheduled because in case you guys didn't know here at Cubs on Tap, we like to play the off the script rabbit hole, just go all over the place conversation when it's a full barn episode like this. So we have one more scheduled piece of content for you guys tonight before all of our brains wander for the last few minutes of the episode. And that is 3 players for the Chicago Cubs to acquire from any means possible for this upcoming 2024 season. Gentlemen, we're going to pitch this around this way. We're going to make it a little different. We're going to go, each person reads a certain spot on their list. So we're going to start with your number 3 player, and we're going to hear from everybody's number 3 player before we go ahead and go to number 2. We might have some repeats. That's okay. I think everybody's going to have a certain reason why they ranked them where they did, and we want to hear from it. But we're going to go a little rapid fire on this as much as humanly possible. And I'm just going to throw it around the yard. It's like hot potato here. You're not going to know who's getting the next answer. I'm just going to throw it to each one of you. And that is going to be the number 3 player on your list. Juice, I would like you to start, my friend. Who's your number 3 player the Cubs should acquire this upcoming offseason via any means possible?
My number 3 player that I want the Cubs to acquire this offseason by any means necessary is reliever Robert Stevenson from the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, mind you, that's a weird one, right? Everyone's like, oh, why? Why do you want this guy? Realistically, when he moved over to the Tampa Bay Rays post-trade deadline, he went out there 40 times. And he only trailed one guy in the American League East in strikeouts. And that was Batista on the Orioles. Guy throws 97, 98 miles an hour, nasty breaking stuff. What was the biggest problem that we had at the end of the year? Not having the ability to go to somebody we trusted. I think realistically, if you're talking about a guy who's probably not going to get a lot of money, let's be real here. You could probably have him for 2 for 10 or 2 for 15, around that. That's a big name for the Cubs because realistically, what have we lacked out of that bullpen? We've lacked velocity. We've lacked, the ability to go to a right-hander that you truly trust that isn't named Adbert Alzolay. And at the end of the day, I think that that's a great signing. I mean, he's been in the Central before. He was a Red. He's not going to be too expensive, and it allows you to get creative and elsewhere. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, why not Hader? That's going to cost a lot of money, and you realistically might be able to get the same kind of output from Stevenson that you get from Hader. It just won't be from the left side. So that's something that I think that's my number 3 player right now. He's in my plans, as we like to say. And, it's a name that I hope the Cubs go after pretty aggressively. And it wouldn't surprise me if his name is on the radar because he kind of fits the need. Doesn't walk a lot of guys, and has, just some good breaking stuff.
I like it. Stevenson was not a dude I would have thought about. And see, this is why we do this segment. Spin it around again. Nobody knows who's going to get it. I think Nick will. Nick, who is your number 3 player on your list of Cubs that need to be on the radar?
It is Jorge Soler.
Ooh.
Go steal 30 home runs or so. Former Cub. So yeah, Jorge Soler.
Oh, I love that. Simple is sweet in this case, Nick, because I feel like the Jorge Soler thing gets everybody thinking. It gets everybody wondering because of the nostalgia. Would he wear number 68 if he comes back? Can he? Like, I want him to if he does.
I want him to. He
I need
needs
that
to.
nostalgia in my life. Joey, I can see you itching to add something. What would
I
you,
have a
what would you
question
like
for
to add?
Nick because I know. Well, I'll save it till we get to somebody's number 1. I know he's going to be on that.
Okay,
One.
all right,
I'll save
fair.
that question for Nick. Go ahead.
Save that till the end, and we'll go off topic there and get through this here. Nick, I love that. Again, another name that I didn't have on my list, admittedly, and I enjoy hearing from Tyler.
So the one guy I was going to say, I'm not going to say him because I've got a feeling, Ron, you're going to say him. So to be a little different, my number 3 pick. You thought last week when we teabagged Milwaukee, that was it? No. We back the bus up and we do it again. And we get former Cy Young Corbin Burns and just shove it up Milwaukee's fans' butts.
I love that. That's a crazy one
love
at number
that.
3, but I respect it wholeheartedly. Joey, I'm going to give you the floor here for your number 3 before I share mine. Is your number 3 on your list?
Oh man, it's so priority wise, it wouldn't actually be my 3, but I had some names listed here, and I like Juice where he was going with the relief pitching market. So I had some names here. I like Jordan Hicks, Hector Neris. Those are 2 names I like. Brent Suter. I need a lefty. We need a lefty. Brent Suter's a guy that we talked about at the trade deadline. I'm seeing him projected for like between 2 and 5 million. It's kind of that rough range per year. Same thing with like what Juice was saying, 2 for 10, something like that. Maybe that would make sense. He's got great numbers. He's pitched in the division with Milwaukee. Left-hand side pitcher, pitched well actually with Colorado. If you can pitch well in Colorado, you can pitch where we pitch. All right. So
Right.
I want Brent Suter, I think, would be my 3rd, and definitely my lefty option. There's a couple other names there, though, too, like Will Smith, Brad Hand, Chafin reunion. Like, I'm only throwing those names out there because I don't think they're going to be mentioned by anyone else here tonight. But I think
totally going with Brad Hand as my 2nd pick.
Brad Hand? Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm just kidding.
Priority. He's going to be more important than, whoever you got next.
That's all right. I can see Papa Loose giving me a hard time because I went with a reliever for 3. You already in the comments there.
What?
Yeah, right.
Reliever. Joey, I love that you can break rules and still make it good enough to where we can't get mad at you because you give good information. It's hysterically. Joey's got 4 players for his.
I didn't even pay attention to the 3. I just wrote names down that I like. I don't know why I did this, but that's what I did.
That's fair. I support it. I'm actually excited because I have a number 3 that nobody has said yet. And
Nice.
I'm very excited for this. My number 3 player the Cubs need to acquire this offseason is Rhys Hoskins. The Cubs need a first baseman, and I have convinced myself that this Cubs team is not going to re-sign Cody Bellinger. It's not because I don't like him or don't want him back. I just think their plan is going to drag them away where they cannot fit Belly in comfortably the way they wish they could have, because he was that fucking good. And I will appreciate forever the one Cody Bellinger season. It's on record here on the YouTube channel from CubsCon of me getting the Bellinger jersey. I have one, and I'm still going to wear it. I don't give a rat's ass if he's a Cub or not. But you need somebody to play first base. And without Cody here, there's no guarantee that a guy like Hammer Candelario is going to come back that can play some first base. Realistically, right now, the only guy in the roster that can play first on a regular basis is either Matt Mervis or Patrick Wisdom. Go out there and get Rhys Hoskins. Juice, you were bringing up some numbers about him with our group in the pregame or in our pre-show here today. 3 for 15 is possible with him because he's just coming back from injury. If the Cubs could get him on a 2-year deal, maybe with a 3rd-year option, that is literal magic at that kind of number. Ultimately, at the end of the day, go get Rhys Hoskins. He's going to slug 30 to 40 home runs for the Cubs. He's probably going to drive in 90-plus runs, and he's going to play a very quality first base that this Cubs team just needs at this point. Just get a quality first baseman over there. That allows your Gold Glovers who want to go crazy and off the absolute wall defensively to be a little dangerous. Dansby Swanson can make a difficult throw. Nico can do the same thing. Whomever is playing third, whether it's somebody like Hammer Candelario potentially, or even somebody like Matt Shaw maybe at some point this season. Go get yourself a big slugging first baseman, something the Cubs that have always had in their history. Anthony Rizzo, Derek Lee. He didn't slug, but he batted .330 every year in Mark Grace. First baseman are something that the Cubs are very, very, very proud of and have guys that can play that spot. He is my number 3 for this exercise. Gentlemen, we're going to move on to number 2 here, and I'm going to spin it around, and we're going to go out of order, and we're not going to say who's going first. I'm going to say who's going first, of course. Nick, I want you first to share your number 2 on your list. Who do the Cubs got to go get this offseason?
Jordan Montgomery.
Oh,
Yeah. Lefty.
Expand. Why?
Yeah.
We need a solid guy starting that you can rely on full year, all year. And I personally just love to see a lefty out there. He's a big lefty. Think it could work out well.
I like that. I like that so much. That was off the wall. I didn't expect that.
I
Tyler.
didn't expect his name to be said.
Tyler. Give me
So
a
guys,
name. Give me some
guys.
stuff. Number 2.
I'm looking at him right now. I'm looking at his picture. Is this realistic? I don't know. But Ron, you said players that I want. I'm being selfish.
Yes, do it.
I brought this up earlier this year when we played this team. This team needs to revamp their farm system.
Uh-oh.
We got the guys that can revamp their farm system.
Uh-oh.
We need a third baseman.
Uh-oh.
We need a Bobby Witt Jr.
Oh, I would love that.
Oh, please, dear God, do that.
Wow.
Please.
Is it
That
going to
would be
happen?
amazing.
I highly doubt it, but my God, like Bobby Witt Jr. is like, and I love Nico Horner. Bobby Witt Jr. is like Nico Horner, but with just a little more, with more power.
More oomph.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I'd be doing backflips.
Oh, I don't even know how to do backflips, and I do
Me neither.
backflips too. I'd do a backflip off the roof of my house if we got that. Maybe not that, but
It's on record. You can't go back on it now.
okay. All right.
We want to
No,
leave.
no.
I guess
We
I'm getting a
need you.
trampoline for Christmas.
Yeah,
Let's try
Tyler's no
this.
longer with us.
Or a swimming pool. I don't know.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Joey, who's your number 2 player?
Oh, it's a pitcher
Just
for
one.
sure.
Just one.
All right, Aaron Nola.
Ooh.
I love Aaron Nola. I really do. I know he's going to get a little bit of a decent chunk of money, but he's so damn durable. Guy will go out there 30 starts a year. He will throw the innings. He will give you the length. He's sometimes not considered as high of an ace as maybe what people think because he has these years where he goes up and down, especially when it goes like ERA. But he just has a couple rough games, I feel like.
Hey, in your defense, Joe, the dude has thrown 200-plus innings like 3 out of the last 4 seasons.
He does that, man. That's his whole. That's the reason why I feel like if you're going to give me a number 1 reliable for the season, 2 guys that are going to go out there and pitch, him and Justin Steele over the course of 162, 1-2 in your rotation, I feel great about the Cubs' chances to make some serious noise. And I think he's built up some experience now pitching in the postseason. for some teams here with the Phillies that have had some decent runs, maybe haven't amounted to as much as they wanted to over the last few seasons, but he's definitely that experience is good. I totally believe in that experience. So I like Aaron Nola for sure.
I dig it. I dig it. Papa Lou says he wants to see the Aaron Nola experiment come to fruition. Juice, I turn it over to you, my friend. You're number 2.
Ron, I'm going to follow your lead here. And there's a guy who wasn't named, and I'm dreaming a little bigger in terms of this. And it's a guy who I'd really love to see hitting some bombs at Wrigley Field. I'll tell you this. Big boy, first baseman. Give me that polar bear. Give me Pete Alonso. I need that. I need that 50 home run in my lineup. And I'm telling you, he's a guy that makes everybody around you in the lineup better because you got to get this guy before he's on deck. Mm-hmm. Or you're already looking at him 3 or 4 times, down the line, like, oh man, he's seen my guy twice. I got to pull a starter early. That's the type of hitter we're looking for. And I look at the Mets, and yeah, I think the Mets are in like the weirdest spot in terms of if they could really go for it and spend recklessly. But I also look at him and I say, man, like their farm system is okay. You can add some names and figure out a way to match it up to where the Mets could do both. They could find themselves bringing back a player that helps them win now and a guy who helps them win in the future. And it's going to help the Cubs. I realistically like – and two, everybody could talk about defensively, oh, he's not the best. We don't need him to be that. You guys, around the diamond already, you're looking at 2 of the best up the middle. And realistically, I think there's a good chance that we see somebody at third base who's better than most defensively going into next year. I need 50 home runs and 120 batted in. And I think realistically, he's going to be the forgotten one in the trades here. I think he may end up being the guy that you don't have to trade. You're going to have to trade a lot, but I don't think you're going to have to trade as much as you would like a Soto, or if you're really going, and trying to make a Bobby Witt Jr. like you were talking about, where you're adding some power into the line. I think Alonso is maybe going to end up, as this offseason goes, the bargain piece, just because first basemen don't get paid as much as they used to anymore. They just don't, and he's one of the best. And I think there's a realistic, move where you can get him into your building and sign him for the future as well at a pretty reasonable price for, a good portion of his career, where he's going to age to me like wine. When he can't play first anymore, you just let him bat, and you're going to have the DH for a long time. So yeah, I think that's a guy that is second on my list.
I like that. I like that a lot, Juice. It takes a different perspective. And again, I'm actually appalled, gentlemen, at the fact that we've had as much diversity thus far as we have, because my number 2 is still also somebody that nobody has said yet. This is very rare. I feel like we're very in lockstep normally, but I like this. That's all out of order. My number 2, gentlemen, is a player I have been very high on for a long time. A player that if the Cubs were to bring him into the building this year, I would have the same reaction as when the Cubs signed Marcus Stroman just 2 years ago. A guy that I'm a huge fan of personally, a huge fan of as a player. He's coming off his best career season, just turning 30. He's not represented by Scott Boras. So
and his name is Harrison Bader.
Yeah, that guy. Oh, juice. But again, not only not represented by Scott Boras, but a guy that can get under contract for a long time. He's only 30. He's a stud. 162 Ks and 120 innings of work last year. Give me Tyler Glasnow as my number 2 player. I'm sold. I'm sold on it. He's not going to cost you a lot. He's coming off a year making $5.35 million in a single season because of arbitration. The Rays extended him for one season at $25 million. They weren't going to pay that shit. Their whole payroll is $70 million. They're not going to commit 1/3 of their payroll to a single player. They extended him knowing they could cap him in at a certain number for one guaranteed season for a team that was willing to spend $25 million and go for it and give up a little bit of prospect capital that the Rays could potentially take advantage of, because that's how the Rays ray. The Cubs are the perfect candidate to do that. They have the depth in the minor league system. Give up 2 prospects. Give up a guy in your 15 to 30 range. You give up a guy in probably your 40 to 50 range. Let the Rays run with that, see what they can do with it. That's fine. You go get Tyler Glasnow. He's dirty. He's nasty. The dude strikes out 162 batters in 120 innings of work. Oh, by the way, he only walked 37 guys last year. A 3.53 ERA in the AL East with a 10-7 record, and he only pitched 21 starts because he was coming back from injury. He's at his best point. Put him in the pitch lab. See if there's a way you can make sure that he stays healthy for a 3 or 4 year type deal with a slight extension. And just like that, the Cubs have a guy that didn't cost them egregious money. That is a workhorse stud when healthy in the major leagues. It took him a little while to get going, but I like Tyler Glasnow and Cubby pinstripes, man. I really do. And I think he's going to be a guy that could do so many fun things for this team. Gentlemen, before we get to the number one answer, I want to take us off the grid here for a second for a comment from earlier that is worth highlighting from our friend Jeremiah. He says, fun fact, if you look up Tom Ricketts' pocketbook, you will see Ron with 4 pizza boxes and some breadsticks. It was 3 pizza boxes and some breadsticks. But yes, you're correct, Jeremiah. If that happens and Tom spends money like I'm hoping, I'm thankful for, I will 100% be on a Domino's 3 pizza and breadstick train. I promise you it will happen. It will be absolutely phenomenal. A couple of guys here, gentlemen, before we get to our number ones as well in the comments. Scott from Iowa saying, Arenado, if you're looking at any means possible. Scott is a big Nolan Arenado guy, and I respect it. Hank says, flamethrower Yariel Rodriguez is an intriguing pitcher. He's finally available, only 27, throws 100-mile-per-hour darts. He's been playing in, I believe it's Korea, but he is of Cuban descent. I know the White Sox have been tied to him a lot, but I think it's an interesting and intriguing opportunity with him. Gentlemen, let's transition to our number one. Again, we're going to go out of order. We're going to throw things off. We're going to make things interesting here. Who is your top player you want the Cubs to target this off season? Tyler, what say you?
So I've got a feeling that one of you other 4 guys is going to say the other one. So I'm not going to say it, but just hear me out. We're at Cubs convention, right?
Uh-huh.
Opening night.
Uh-huh.
They say, please stand by for a special announcement, right? The lights go down. Our little thingy-mabobbers on our wrist, like last year, start blinking blue and red, blue and red, blue and red. They announce that this season, elected to the Cubs Hall of Fame is Sammy Sosa. Now, that's not it, though. That's not my guess.
Sammy's coming back.
Sosa. Let me finish. No. Let me finish. They announced Sammy Sosa. He walks on stage. Everyone is shitting their pants. We're all half lit because we pregame before this, right? He gets up, he's talking, he's like, but that's not all. No. I'm not the only guy. I'm not the only guy from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic that Tom Ricketts brought back this year. You guys just acquired in a sign and extension deal Juan Soto. You already know, though. And the crowd goes wild.
Yes.
We're not going to survive the opening ceremony.
And then I changed my pants.
Yes. Everyone's shit pants.
Oh, absolute pandemonium. I like it. Juan Soto to start us off here. Nick, who is your number one player?
The polar bear, bring him in. I want to see him hit home runs at Wrigley. I mean, and like Juice said, 50 home runs. We need that. We need it, man. Bring him in. I want to see the polar bear in pinstripes.
I love that. I like that somebody prioritized the slugging first baseman. Not even trying to be funny, Nick. Truthfully, it's different. It's a different look, I think, from where a lot of us are going. He would be fun. Fun fact: the longest home run I've ever seen hit at Wrigley in person was a Pete Alonso bomb in a 16-4 Cubs win in May of 2021. Baez went deep. It was just a slaughter, but the only major hit of the night for the Mets was Alonso putting a ball, I'm pretty convinced, on the left field rooftops on a fly. Like, this thing was just the highest, farthest hit ball I've ever seen in my entire life. It was absolutely unbelievable. Jeremiah says he'd be so happy. My dad says he'll buy in on the idea. It would be absolutely incredible. Juice, your number one player. Whose is it?
I'm going to steal Tyler's. We're all at Cubs Con. We're all drunk. We got our little wristbands on. It's going. Lights go out. It's red and blue, red and blue, red and blue. They're playing, and then doom. It just goes a dark red. And out walks 25-year-old pitcher Yamamoto, arm in arm with Seiya Suzuki. And the Cubs now have their rotation set. And it's dirty. And it's guys that we could look at and go, yeah, I trust you in any game in a playoff series. And mind you, the lineup at that point is set. We're hammered. It's Cubs Con. We're doing interviews. We're meeting people. We can't find Joey. It's going to be amazing.
We can never find Joey. Absolutely never can find Joey. Joey, I'm going to give you an opportunity to go first here with your number one. I'm convinced. I'm so curious because I feel like there's a world here where we will legitimately, I think, have different answers for almost every single one of these in this top three. This could be bananas for the first time ever.
How about this real quick? If that's true, let's do a poll. Let's do a poll after this as far as all three of our threes.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's the absolute way we're going to have to go about this. Joey hangs the balance. Who's your number one?
Ron.
Ron's
you haven't said your one, right?
I have not. I have a player on my list, but I want to hear from you first.
I am shocked that nobody has said the name that I'm not going to say. My number one is the same as Tyler's.
We're both hammered drunk, right?
We're fucked up. We're getting hammered right now. Set the tone. I can't really say much more than what you said because you set it up so goddamn beautifully. But he's 25 years old. He's 25 years old. He's been in the league for 6 years. He's 25 years old. Even the years that he has hit like for a low average, his on base is 388 is the lowest on base he's ever had. He hits 30 plus home runs a year. Juan Soto is going to age gracefully into the DH role as well. If you want to lock in that position with a guy like Shohei Ohtani who can't pitch for 1 year, I'm not saying you want to miss out on Shohei, but you're going to pay a little bit less for a Juan Soto extension. Truly believe that because he's not the two-way. So love it, man. I love the Juan Soto call. Big time.
Gentlemen, we only had one repeat this entire episode, and it was Joey and Tyler with Juan Soto. That's okay. No, hey, honestly, if you would have asked me if we only had one overlap, I would have told you you're absolutely crazy. My number one player, gentlemen.
Kevin Kiermaier.
Stop it. I did say to my dad the other day, I did say if they couldn't get Bellinger, if they needed a center fielder, to go get Kiermaier on a one-year deal. Dude, I love Kevin Kiermaier.
Just before this show, my wife was looking up players, and she said, "Who's Kevin Kiermaier?"
I love Kevin
If
Kiermaier.
they got that, my wife would probably get a jersey.
I love Kevin
Yeah.
Kiermaier. I
She
support
was
it.
just talking about that
Can
tonight.
she get it on opening weekend?
Oh yeah, she would. Yeah, she would totally get it.
Oh my God, that would be incredible. I support it. I'm totally
She was like,
here for it.
"My God, Tyler, who is
He's got to
that?"
be number 39 too, because I need Kevin Kiermaier and Nikolai Hobby-Bulin to wear the same number in Chicago. Like that's what I need in my life
Fair.
right now. I really do. Ultimate sports nerd moment. But gentlemen, I can't believe any of you haven't said this. The guy's going to be worth $1 billion to the Chicago Cubs. He owns an entire fucking country in the world. Gentlemen, why wouldn't you want Shohei Ohtani in blue pinstripes? Oh my goodness. I want 40 plus homers out of the second left-handed hitter at Wrigley Field because Billy Williams is lonely on that record leaderboard. Give me Shohei hitting bombs onto Waveland Waveland and Sheffield. He's going to hit him out of both sides. It doesn't matter. Shohei Ohtani, 1 year as a DH. He's going to be worth every single bit of the 45 to 55 million you're going to pay him. And then in year 2, he's going to pitch. And guess what, guys? Sure, he could be a starter. That would be awesome if he does that for a couple years. But could you imagine an elite closer and one of the best power hitters in baseball at the same time? Even then, he's worth it to your team. He, again, is going to bring in a whole new fan base. You talked about Yamamoto and say arm in arm juice, and I support that. Let's add Shohei on the other side with his big-ass wingspan over both of them because he's going to come in, be larger than life in the city of Chicago, and Shohei Ohtani is going to look absolutely sensational in
If
Cubby
there's a
blue.
Ron, if they get them both, I'll wear the mankini at
dude,
CubsCon.
I'll let you
The
borrow
whole
the
3
red
days.
one. I'll wear the blue one.
if there
I'll
is
wear
a
the blue
way,
one.
if there is a way they could keep that on the down low till CubsCon, could you imagine?
No, Tyler,
Imagine.
I won't make it.
No, we
Nor
won't
will
make
you,
it. We
nor
won't
will
make it to
Juice,
Saturday.
Nor
We
will
will not make
Joey
it to
and nor will
Saturday.
Nick. None of us are walking out of there with a
No.
pulse at that point.
They will have to carry me to the airport on Sunday.
Yeah,
I got a feeling you're gonna have to bring some more cigars. Like,
Yeah,
more
oh,
vodka.
I'm bringing cigars. Oh, I'm bringing cigars for sure. But hey,
Oh, I'm going to
Ron,
smoke cigars in there if they
hey,
get
Ron,
first
what you
guy.
said about the closer thing, Ryan Dempster was like all about that as far as Ohtani being a closer. Big,
Yeah.
he is
I like the
big
idea
on that.
too.
It's a good
he's
idea.
nasty. It's way you keep him healthy. You don't have to worry about him.
That would
He
be
gets the
awesome.
bat every day. His bat's worth the money. His stardom's worth the money. And if he comes in and closes down games for you, it's going to be gross. It encourages them to go get Yamamoto or Glasnow or any of these other pitchers, Kyle Gibson, anybody they've been tied to just add to this rotation. I hope they're 9 pitchers deep that can start games this coming year. I really, really do. Be deep, be able to put out the best lineup in the NL Central on any given day. And this Cubs team has an absolute chance at a World Series. I have no doubt about that in my entire existence. Gentlemen, we're an hour into this thing. We're all hyped up. I don't think any of us are ready to immediately cut this thing off. Joey, I know you had a question. I want to revisit your question and let this thing go off the rails for a minute. Now let's see if you can remember your own question.
Yeah,
because we've had a lot of topic. It was for Nick, and I think it was in relation. Nick, your number 3 was repeat for everybody. Or was it
Jorge
number 2?
Soler.
Yes.
No, that's number 3. Jorge Soler. Number 2
Soler
is Jordan
was number
Montgomery.
3.
Yeah.
Jordan Montgomery was number 2.
No, it was your 3 though. It was your 3. Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
Jorge Soler's 3.
Sound off, Joey. Ask Nick. I
So
want
I
to hear
just-
this conversation.
Remembered another question that I didn't get to ask because you were hosting and you just darted to a different topic. I was like, I'm not going to cut you off this time. But so I have a question for you as well, or just the whole panel here. Tyler or Nick. Jesus, I can't even talk now after I remembered the freaking question.
Bob.
So
Sally.
here's the
Junior.
question. Here's the question. Anticipation. It's not that big of a deal. So Jorge Soler, DHing probably, he's mostly a DH, right? Because we're not going to trust him in the field. I think we can all sit here and say he's more of a butcher in the field. My question was going to be, because I think I feel like you guys were going to say Shohei Ohtani, and that's what Ron had said. So would you want Soler with, like, are you blocking that out from like a Soto or from Otani, like, does that DH role, do you want to keep that DH role open for a bigger option, or are you okay with, I guess it just comes down to roster construction, right? If you have like your Pete Alonso, you're filling in pieces everywhere else, then maybe the DH becomes fine. I'm wondering how you're building the rest of that out, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, it was all based off of not like winning the Otani sweepstakes. Realistically thinking like it would be awesome. It would be great. Obviously, like Ron said, it's worth it. But if they don't do that, if Jed decides to stay a little more conservative, Soler's that guy, that power guy, and he hits the ball so hard. Like you said, he's butchering the field. But to solidify that DH role, it does open up some options for trade too, because you've had a couple bats that you've rotated throughout the DH that you it opens it up a little bit. But honestly, like Soler is like stealing 30 home runs. And that's what I feel like the Cubs needed to do last year. Just go steal 30 home runs. Like how, that's where I got to that.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's so cheap for what he can do, right? Like 30 bombs is 30 bombs any way you slice it, and he's going to hit him. So, yeah, I mean, that's a great way to look at it. The other question I had, too, was for everybody. Do you think Nico Horner, this is when, Ron, you were talking about, they're so good looking, the middle infield, so good looking. Do you think Nico Horner comes out and, what did you call it, Juice? The Vampire Diaries, like turtlenecks?
Yeah, why does my middle infield look like Vampire Diaries? That was my comment at Cubs Cup.
Yeah. Do you think they're doing that again? Are they running it back or like?
Yeah.
There's a good chance. I mean, they're going to be, somebody's throwing them clothes to wear for those, right? It's kind of like the red carpet where they get dressed by, people and they kind of promote the brands, right?
I think Ian Happ hinted at it when they all had that. They took the picture together when they got their gold gloves. Like he had the turtleneck on. Like it's returning. The Vampire Diary.
They both look like they just got like out of like a hickey session. Like every time they walk out, like this is realistically like they were in a closet like playing spin the bottle or some shit.
Dressing each other up.
Don't get me wrong, I love our middle infield, but looking at them, like if I were any other baseball team, I would be making fun of those guys so much. Like if I wasn't a Cub fan, I'd be like, look at these two.
Am I not turtly enough for the turtleneck club?
Right.
Nerds, like, I don't know.
I got a question for all you guys. Who's playing center field in 2024?
PCA.
Not Cody Bellinger.
Not Cody Bellinger, yeah.
I think they're going to get somebody cheap.
It's gonna be Christopher Morel and Mike Talkman for the entire season.
What do you think about Whit Merrifield?
No? I was looking at him before the show started.
Sure.
Because he mainly play what? He's mainly what, a second baseman, right fielder?
Yeah, I don't love him in center. That's a good point.
It's good.
Wouldn't mind him though.
I don't know. Just the name has been there for a while. You can steal some bases. I'm just spitballing here.
I honestly think
earlier on, yeah.
Yeah.
We were all so quick to like say PCA is not ready. Are we sure that wasn't just him coming into it late in the year and getting this, like coming into a pressure cooker situation where you need to produce right now, my man? Like you're getting called up with expectations, number one prospect, a little bit more learning, figuring out period. Like he could win the job depending on who they sign around, like who's the center fielder that they're like their blanket center fielder coming in. I feel like PCA is going to be taking over the job by May if he doesn't start, because he's going to start out on fire in Iowa. That's what I think.
What?
I think that's part of it, though, is they want him to start on fire in Iowa. Like, there's no need to rush him. I think they brought him up just to provide a spark, knowing, because you got to remember, they brought him up knowing he wouldn't be able to be on a postseason roster had they made the postseason because of when they added him to the 40-man. Like, I think that was at the point in the season where they said, no matter what happens, we're okay with it. Let's just see what he does and give him a taste. I just think ultimately in the end, I think he could win the job by the end of the year if all things go right. I just think at the end of the day, why rush him if you don't need to? I'd rather him go down to Iowa and do what Christopher Morel did and just show that he does not need to be there and then come up. And if he struggles a little bit in the learning process, that's okay. But I think I want to see that he's going to crush Iowa, at least with the bat. I'm not worried about the glove. I think we all can agree with that. The glove is fine. We're not worried about the glove. The glove's MLB ready. It's been MLB ready for probably 2 seasons now.
Hey, to
I
bounce
just
off
want to
that,
see him turn around and go and get it at the Iowa level.
to bounce off that, another question. Which, by the way, I just saw PCA's mom on MLB Network last night, Little Big League. Here's a question. Speaking of PCA, on opening day,
You're muted, Tyler. I don't know how you muted yourself, but you muted yourself.
can you guys hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
we
got
can.
Okay. Speaking of PCA, does the trio on opening day, we've got PCA, Alcantara, Brennan Davis, those trios of prospect outfielders, is that trio still going to be, at least, or maybe, are all three of them going to be in this organization by opening day?
No.
You think
Yes.
one of
I think one of them's gone.
who?
I think Brennan Davis is a
Brennan.
throw-in on a trade.
I like that, which I think Ron, which by the way, hey, we haven't even addressed this. Ron, you killed it yesterday on Bleacher Report. Isn't that, I think that's what you may have brought up with the Glasnow trade. Was it Brennan
I
Davis?
did. Yep. I said send Brendan to Tampa and let him get a fresh start.
I
How
hope
is
that,
him?
I don't know. I truly think they're going to sign a center fielder. Like, I really do. And I don't think it's going to be Bellinger. I think it's going to be a guy that can play like half the year. And then maybe they'll look at PCA.
Yeah. I'll be
Like
honest, Juice.
it's going to be a guy who could hit like ninth. And
Yeah.
Juice,
and can
you've
run.
got me convinced.
What if
That
that is off?
What's that?
Sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
I was like, Juice, you got me convinced that Alcantara is untouchable.
100%.
Like you really do.
Yeah.
You've got me convinced.
Did
Out of
you
the three,
see? Did you see the latest 2 lists that came out? And one of them had him at number 7 in the Cubs' top 10 prospects.
No, he's got to be like 2.
I thought that was blasphemous that he at least wasn't in the top 5.
He's top 3, and he's not top 5. Yeah, he's got to be top 3, I think, for sure.
Bananas.
Yeah.
Did they give him a hard time because he got hurt?
They must have.
He missed a month and a half, I think, or a month. But I'll tell you right, I've watched them both in my backyard. I love PCA. And I think PCA, like, I've never watched anybody move defensively like that. And then Kevin Alcantara came up. And I'm not going to say that PCA is going to be – I'm not going to say that Kevin's going to be better defensively than Pete. But, man, can Kevin, with his ability, like his length and his speed, he can make up for not taking the perfect route like PCA has to.
He's a 5-tool player.
He is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And he hits the ball harder and takes bigger swings than anybody. You really want to see a Cubs prospect never get cheated. Like, that is Kevin Alcantara. He is unbelievable. He's my favorite prospect in the whole system.
Is it
for a long time.
Is it Alcantara or Alcantara?
I thought it was Kevin Alcantara.
I legitimately don't know. That's why I'm
It's
asking.
Kevin Alcantara. I, had no
I
idea
thought it was
that.
Alcantara. I don't know. That's
I don't
just
know,
what I
whatever.
said.
We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to.
Who cares?
fact
We
check
know
that.
who he is. Juice, you say
let's
that
just
though.
ask him at Cubs convention.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Juice, you say that like him swinging super hard, and I remember our conversations like during while I was in here in Beloit watching him. He looks so like it's not even like he's pressing either. It's like a hard swing, but it's like a naturally hard swing. Like
100%. And that's why
And
he's
that's
just got so much
incredible.
raw power. That bat speed is it just shows. And
Mhm.
one of these days, it's all going to click. And he's just going to go quickly through the system. Unfortunately, I thought it was happening right before he got injured. And then it was like that derailed him. And now, you saw him in, what was that, the Arizona Fall League or the
Yeah.
ACL? What did
Yeah,
he play?
crushed
Yeah.
Arizona Fall League. Yeah,
I mean, he picked right back up after. And honestly, too, I think it was his lower half that he wasn't he was kind of battling. So if it was his lower half, it showed for a while there. But now, I mean, you could see it in the Arizona Fall League that it's not a problem anymore. And when he's healthy, he's unbelievable, untouchable, 100% untouchable.
You just struck a chord in my brain now, talking about the Fall League. Speaking of the Fall League, James Triantos has went off.
Yeah,
Arizona Fall League Offensive Player of the season.
Yeah, he
Man,
can play too.
Where does he play though? That's the question.
Who cares?
Who cares is right.
Figure it out later.
He could play third.
He can.
He could do it.
I think he could play center too.
You got Matt Shaw. I think Matt Shaw is a dude, man.
Matt Shaw is a dude. Matt Shaw was ranked 2 and 3 in those first re-rank lists that I saw.
Yeah.
It was like Baseball Prospectus and Baseball America. I think.
What did he do after he got promoted and went to
AA?
Yes.
He just kept raking.
Oh yeah, he was.
Where does he start?
Stupid.
That's a good
He's going to
question.
start AAA, I think.
I think he starts at AA. I think he starts at AA.
Yeah, who knows with that stuff. I want to go back to the Brennan Davis thing for a second, though. The reason why I was like, and all you guys were saying, yeah, he gets moved. The reason, and I don't hate that idea. Like if you can get Glass now for Brennan Davis, I think you make that move all day.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think you're getting what you want for Brennan Davis right now. That's the hard part. I think he's kind of put himself in a bucket of.
He's still the top 20, 25 prospect.
He is, but the injuries, I don't know what you're. I don't think you're getting a Glass now for him, is what I think.
Not one for one, but I think he's a part of a potential deal.
The package. Yeah, maybe.
I think he could be the second prospect in a 2-prospect deal. I think the first prospect, though, probably has to be like a Brody McCullough or somebody of that nature. Like a top 30 pitching prospect. He's not one of your big dogs per se, but he's a guy that could be a guy. And if you give him a little bit of time, they can afford to let him mature. You're probably going to have to give up something like that. And then Brennan's kind of the hey, if you give us this guy and let us see if he needs a change of scenery, like we'll pull the trigger on this deal. Because I think Glasnow looks great. Fun fact, really quick here about the center field conversation. My dad said Belly was his pick. He thinks Belly's coming back to the Cubbies, which I think is not out of the question by any means, but interesting nonetheless. Gentlemen, any other final thoughts and questions that you might have, or are we ready to wrap this thing up and roll into the Thanksgiving holiday?
No, it's really interesting to me to look at. I didn't know Brennan played Arizona Fall League this year, which
Did he?
is kind of in only 4 games. But he hit 500.
Okay.
I mean, maybe he's healthy again. I hope so. Because when he's healthy, he's a top 10 prospect and somebody you could look on this roster and go, okay, yeah, I can see him. But I don't know. I just a back injury. That's at that age.
Hard.
That's something that is. I mean, we see it with Rizzo. Like, I mean, that's something that hangs over a player forever. You know, it's not something that goes away. And his is bad. I mean, they have I was reading about the surgery that he did a long time back, and it's not an easy surgery to recover from, let alone to then hit a baseball after. So
it's not like a sciatica or something, right? Something like that.
I don't want to say the wrong, medical terms on this show, but I remember reading about the grueling recovery process he was going to have, and the surgery wasn't easy. So I don't know. I mean, I hope he can contribute, but I think it for sure, like Ron said, a team that could definitely look at it. That's the Rays, and they're probably looking for guys like Brennan, high end.
Well, especially when you think about it too, because of the way they operate, they have so many guys due for raises that I don't think they want to pay. They're going to be very active this offseason. I think guys like Randy Arozarena stick around, especially with Wander Franco's contract up in the air, given all the off-field stuff with him.
Yeah, what do you think happens with that?
Yeah,
I don't even know.
That's been kind of hush-hush for a while.
It has been hush-hush, but I will say, like, they have they can rid of a lot of money while still keeping like a Rosarena and a couple of like franchise guys, but they're going to kind of low key reset it and just go from there. That's what they do every couple of years. They'll probably have a little bit of a down year next year. They'll win like 79 games. Then they'll be back the next year because a couple of prospects are ready from trades, and then they'll go for it for like 2 years, and then they'll slightly reset. That's how they operate, and they're really good at it. They stay relevant that way. But that's just kind of the way they operate. And like my dad says here, trade bait, 100% trade bait.
By the way, they just put Wander back onto the 40-man.
Oh, did
He's
they?
reinstated as of the
Okay.
3rd.
Interesting. And that'll be something to watch because that could honestly very much change what the Rays do. I think they're still going to do their normal thing, even if he's there or not, but they might be a little more willing to part way with some extra salary and just see if they can maybe get more back. You know what I mean? Like they have options, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Gentlemen, we're approaching the 90-minute mark, like I joked at the top of the episode, which I'm glad we did because honestly, so much incredible conversation throughout the course of this episode. It's always a blast getting back on with all 5 of us here. But before we wrap up, boys, I want to remind everybody, Cubs on Tap, one of 2 official Cubs podcasts here covering the Chicago Cubs here at the On Tap Sports Network. Check out our friends over at the Dingers podcast. They were live on Monday night. A great show from them, jump-starting their off-season discussion and welcoming them back for another fun year of being one of our friends here at the On Tap Sports Network. Follow them at Dinger Cubs on the socials. Follow us at Cubbies on Tap on the socials. I am at Loose on Tap, Juice on Tap, Joey Knows Nothing, Teddy Freddy 270, Nick _on tap. And be sure to follow our other great writers, Tyler Smith _ISL, and Bulls Guy Rob, and all their great coverage here, supporting the Cubs side of the house. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks. You know the drill. We got it all. And yes, Cubs fans, you have friends that like the Sox. So do we. Send your friends to our friends over at Sox on Tap. And as Juice says, they can always be friends, discussing the miserable Chicago White Sox. OnTapSportsNet.com at OnTapSportsNet on the socials of the OnTap Sports Network. Go and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Gentlemen, this was an absolute blast. We're going to have to get back on the microphone maybe one more time before the official new year is rung in. Hopefully, we'll have plenty of things to discuss. We appreciate every single one of you for listening and following along. Be sure to follow us over at Facebook or like us and subscribe on YouTube to join the conversation, as some of our great followers like Jeremiah, my dad, Scott from Iowa, and others, and Hank have done tonight. Boys, let's get out of here the only way we know how, at Cubs on Tap.
FTC.
Another thing I'm thankful for is to get on this mic and say, for the probably 1,000th time, fuck the Cardinals.
That's right. Fuck the Cardinals.
Fuck the Cardinals.
And let's go Cubbies, baby.